everyone. So I understand linear perspective can be tricky. Honestly, I do get that. So we want to take it one step at a time. I do think that video did a really good job of explaining how linear perspective works in order to make the object look as though it has some depth to it, like it's going back into space. So you should have your worksheet in front of you right now. Let's go over the important vocabulary words really quick. So linear perspective is a technique used by artists in order to help give objects a sense of depth. So that's what we'll be doing. We are specifically using 1-point perspective, and we'll talk about what that means in just a moment. The horizon line is where the sky and the earth meet, as they said in the video. Your horizon line is right here. And it is also the location of the vanishing point. And your vanishing point is right here in the middle. The vanishing point is where lines in linear perspective meet. So if you think about looking down a road, it looks as though the road is getting narrower the further away it is from you. We know that's not actually what's happening, it just looks that way. That's linear perspective in action, and where it looks like the road is disappearing is the vanishing point, where those lines are meeting. And as I said before, 1-point perspective means that all lines are drawn to one vanishing point. There is 2-point perspective, which we'll learn about in 7th grade, and there is even 3-point perspective, but that's super tricky and I don't teach it here. But just know it does exist and you can have multiple vanishing points. All right, so for the directions, we're going to use 1-point perspective in order to draw depth in the following examples, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We also want to label the vanishing point and the horizon line. Let's do that first, and abbreviations are okay. So we know that the horizon line, which I'm going to label as HL, is what's going across the page horizontally, and in the middle, we can label that VP is the vanishing point. All right, let's start in the top left-hand corner first. So I'm going to simplify what the man in the video was telling us. We're not going to draw an entire second square to show depth. I'm gonna show you a little bit of a shortcut. So from each of the corners facing the vanishing point, we are going to draw a line. And accuracy is super important with linear perspective, so make sure that you are getting them as close as you can. Okay, great. So right there, we can see that these two sides are going back into space. Now, in order to draw the actual sides of the box right here, I want you to look. Do you see how this line right here goes up and down, vertical, nice and straight? Draw a second vertical line next to it, just a little bit further down. And then for the bottom right here, do you see how this is horizontal? It goes perfectly straight across. We're going to draw another line that is horizontal. This right here is your box. While you don't have to erase what you don't need, I'm going to just so you can see what it looks like. Hopefully you can see right here the front of the box, the bottom of the box, and the side of the box. If you don't see it yet, that's okay. Sometimes it takes time. Let's move to the top right. Whoops. All right, so again, the 3 corners that face the vanishing point, we're going to draw lines to the vanishing point. Okay, now that we have our lines, we're going to do the same thing, draw in the side and the bottom. So again, this is straight up and down vertical. This will also be straight up and down vertical. This goes straight across horizontally, and this should also go straight across horizontally. Now again, you don't need to erase these lines. You can keep them if you want to, but take a look at what you've just drawn. You have your box right here. Now let's move down to below the horizon line. We drew 2 boxes above the horizon line, which means we can see the bottoms of those boxes. That will be different once we're under the horizon line. Instead of the bottom, we're going to see the tops of the boxes. Let's start with the bottom right corner right here. Same thing. We're going to draw from the 3 corners that face the vanishing point, and we're going to draw some lines. Okay, so same thing. This goes straight across horizontal. This should go straight across horizontal as well. This goes straight up in vertical. So should this. All right, let's make sure we can see our box nice and clearly, but I'm not erasing VP. We want the vanishing point label there. So there we go, front, side, and top. Last one. All right, so our 3 corners that face the vanishing point, let's draw to those. Now this one is going to get a little bit tricky because we're going to have a very narrow line here. But that's okay. All right, so same thing, straight across, straight up and down. Okay, so again, we have front, top, and side. Go ahead and take a picture of your worksheet and make sure that you submit it to Google Classroom.